Well, hello guys. How you doing? Hey, this is Patrick A. McCarthy again. I'm here and I'm going to ask you another question. Let's do it. How do I love a father that was an alcoholic? How do I love a father that created hell in my life? How do I turn around and say, I love you, Daddy, when he made my life hell when I was a kid? I think, my father was an alcoholic, but maybe your father was a drug addict. Maybe your father was absent. Maybe your father was abusive. Okay. Maybe your father basically didn't show any emotions. You were like invisible to him. Well, the reason why I'm asking, I want to talk to you about this is because one, it was a big moment in my life. I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me concerning my drunk father, and it was a good turning point in my life. So I want to share that with you, and if this resonates with you, well, all the better. Okay, the story, I was 14. I was 14 and my father was drinking. He was drinking often. He was often drunk and he was not responsible. His alcohol was more important than anything else, and we had bills to pay. Anyway, so one day I was in the basement. I might have been watching TV, and he wallowed downstairs. He was drunk, and there was not many boys. There's eight of us, but there was not many boys in the house, and I was one of them, still there. So he basically comes downstairs, and I get off the couch, and I get towards the wall, and Patrick, yo. And I just was frustrated. At 14, hormones were popping, and I was just frustrated with him, just as a deadbeat daddy. So I couldn't understand what he was saying. And so I, all of a sudden, said, "Go to hell." And I pushed him down, and he fell over because he didn't have a balance. Oh my God. Talk about, I ran up those stairs. I ran out that door. I ran down that hill. I ran for my life. At that time, I didn't know. I knew I had pushed too far and I didn't know what my dad was going to do to me. I really didn't know, but he pushed buttons and I just reacted. So I ran, and before he knew it, I was close to the restaurant where my mom was working and her door was open, but she couldn't see me, but I could see her. She was peeling potatoes for French fries. And part of me wanted to go to Comfort. I'm going to go talk to my mom, go tell my mom what happened. That's what I done as a kid. But at 14, something happened. Conscience. I was growing up. At that moment, I had to grow up. I said, I can't talk to my mom about this. She's the one that's bringing money in the house now. And she doesn't need another problem. She already has enough on her plate. So I had to swallow my pill, turn around, and say, I need a home. I got to go back. And I was scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I walked back, not willingly, but come on, let's go. You have no choice. You need a house, you need a bed, you need food, you need a family. You can't live on the street. So I was walking up the hill to go back to my house, and you want to add oil to the fire? My younger brother and sister, yeah, I have no sisters. My younger brothers, two of them, they say, "Hey, Dad, Pat's back." I could have killed them. At that time, I could have killed them. I don't think I was going to sneak into the house and go in my room and lock the door, but I did not need them. Dad, Pat's back. So I went in the house and I did go in my room, but my father knew I had arrived back and he took the belt and he gave me a licking with the belt. Okay. It is what it is. But the belt hurt. But what hurt the most was the terror I felt when I ran out of the house and I went down. I was going to tell mom, but I couldn't. And I realized I have to suck this up because she has enough on her plate. And then going back that voyage was more painful than the belt. So all that say, and then how did that follow out? A year later, we went bankrupt and my parents got separated for always. So what am I getting at? How do I love my father if he's an alcoholic and he created hell in my life? Well, one, I realized something, and maybe you've already realized this. Have you ever thought that if you dislike your father, and I say your father here, I'm focusing on your father, but this could be applicable to your mother too, okay? Everything I'm saying about your father. But my case, it was my father, but my problem. And I think a lot of people, it's their father, the problem. But if it's your mother, you can, what I'm saying applies to the mother too, okay? I spent years, uh, my father, ugh, I hate my father. My father, damn, why drink? Why are you drinking? Why did you do this? Why? I was so frustrated with him. However, I realized at one point after my complaining that I asked myself a question. How was he raised? And since his parents were close to our home, I got to know his father and his mother, my grandparents. And I realized his drinking was, in a way, numbing the pain. And then I asked myself, pain to what? And then I asked, he was the oldest of his family, and his father gave him that farm for $1. So if my father didn't want to be a farmer, he wanted to go to university, maybe he is drinking because that's not what he wants to do, and he has a hard time standing up because he was shy, that alcohol seemed easier. So what I'm trying to say with all this is that when I looked at my father with my heart and trying to understand his story and saying he had parents and how was he raised, and realizing, oh my God, his mother was really a case. My mother was an angel. His mother was psychotic in many ways. So I started understanding my father in a way that I never understood him before. And finally, he did stop drinking when he was 40. And that helped. But I think what really helped is I started realizing my father was a human being. And like a lot of us, as we grow up, we realize our parents are just human beings like us. So I basically said to myself, hey, he's a human being. So that compassion started. Then I started having compassion for myself, because one thing I want you to realize, when you have a hate towards somebody, you kind of hate yourself too. Okay, so just one moment. Close the door. But I just want to say that it is, so having compassion is really important, okay, for your parents. Okay, so I had a lot of compassion for my father, and it did help me to understand the situation. And with understanding and compassion, I was able to see him in a different light using my heart. And then something magical happened. Since he was my father, I, as a result, liked myself better, because I was more in emotion, like positive emotions, to thinking about him and not always complaining. Okay. Hopefully this does help you. Listen, call to action. Number one, start seeing your loved ones, the ones that have given you the most issues. Start seeing them as a human being, and they're suffering. And why are they suffering? What kind of parents did they have? Did they have a different hell than you had, but it was just as brutal? And that, I'm telling you, it's going to help you have compassion. Because if you were raised by a mother and a father that didn't show you love, well, then it's normal that the father, he has a hard time showing you love because he was never shown himself. So the compassion of seeing how he was raised is going to allow you to heal the hate or the just feeling upset that you have with your parent. The compassion is going to do miracles. So I want to invite you to go on that road, that journey. Okay. And number two, if this resonates with you and this is helping you, click on that subscribe button and more is coming. Okay. I wish you all the best. And I truly hope this helps. Okay. Peace and love. Bye-bye.